Good morning, everyone. For those who've attended the previous webinars, I'm Angela Arnante. I'm the Program Officer of the Technology for Property Rights Project of the Foundation for Economic Freedom. Thank you for joining us in the second round of our webinar. We assure you we have a great lineup of topics and speakers for this season. So just a few reminders. Everyone will be muted all throughout the presentation. Also, if you want to have a better viewing of the presentation, you can just click the viewing options on your screen and choose your preferred presentation view. For questions, you may use the Q&A feature found at the bottom part of the Zoom screen. And then we'd like to remind everyone that we're also live in Facebook. And for any issues encountered, please message us through the chat feature in Zoom chat. And lastly, we will be giving out certificates for this webinar. But prior to that, at the end of this webinar, we'll ask you to answer our feedback form. And from there, we will look at the names and then we'll send certificates to those people. The link to the feedback form can be found in the Zoom webinar chat, which I will post now. Okay, so for the next part, we'll have a class picture. So we will promote you to panelists, and when we do, kindly please turn on your video so that we could see you. Okay, all of the FEF team, please help me promote our participants to panelists for the class picture.
One of the goals of the Technology for Property Rights project is to hasten the issuance of land titles by employing the use of drones in the conduct of surveys. In our first webinar series, held last June 18 to July 9, we have presented theories, researches, and policies on the use of drones as an additional tool in the conduct of surveys. We also showed an actual use of drone in a survey and titling activity in Agusan del Sur. So after the first run, majority of the feedbacks we have received requested to have presentations on the various applications of drones by other people and other organizations. Another feedback we also got was that drones can be quite expensive, especially if one is just using, if one is just going to use it for a particular use, and hence discouraging people to dive into it. We therefore decided to conduct the second run of the webinar to address both concerns. Do's and Drones Season 2 will feature other uses of drones beyond lot surveys for land titling. We have invited individuals and organizations that will share their stories and best practices in using drones for survey and mapping. We believe that drones can be very helpful if their potential can be maximized. Investment may be high at first, but when used in several fields of application, the returns and benefits outweigh the costs. So for this season, our lineup of resource persons consists of private geodetic engineers, drone flyers, and representatives of professional associations, private companies, government agencies, and local government units that have extensive experience in the use of the drone technology. Our topics are very varied and interesting. Like for this episode, we have invited geodetic engineers who are currently using drones to support their survey and mapping work for parcels, roads, infrastructures, etc. We also have LGUs who will be tackling the use of drone and its output for search and rescue mission, COVID measures, and land use planning. We also look forward to the episode on drone as service model and so many other topics. And we continue to look for more stories to be shared for the benefit of everyone who are taking interest in using drones for their work. So if you have one, please don't hesitate to contact us through our Technology for Property Rights page. So let us all listen intently and learn together from our invited resource speakers. I'm sure we will learn a lot today, and we are excited as you are in uncovering more applications of the drone technology. In behalf of the Foundation for Economic Freedom and the Technology for Property Rights team, thank you very much for supporting our initiatives and this webinar. Back to you, Angela.
Thank you, Ms. Rhea, for that, for the opening remarks. Okay, so I will introduce our speakers for today. The first one is he's the survey manager of CBC Engineering Mapping and Surveying, which is a land surveying company which pioneered the use of drones in Batangas City. With 8 years of experience in using UAV technology for mapping, their company is heavily involved in oil and gas, asset mapping, and project site planning. Also, he is the National Secretary General of Junior Chamber International Philippines, which is a youth leadership organization. He's also a leadership speaker, a career trainer, hobbyist, and a podcaster. And he is, I guess you know who he is. His name is Engineer Christian Clemeno. For our second speaker, we have Engineer Brian Anos, who is the proprietor of Anos Land Serving Office in Tacloban City. He worked in the Department of Agrarian Reform and in the LAMP PIO. He has been using drones for survey and mapping applications in his projects. Some of these include using drone outputs for insurance claims, infrastructure progress monitoring, survey of informal settlement areas, tax mapping, among others. He graduated from the University of Southern Philippines Foundation with a degree on geodetic engineering. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Sir Christian Clemeno for his presentation. Sir, you may share your presentation now.
Thank you, Angela. Oh, I'm just gonna share your screen. Can you guys see the presentation?
Yes, sir. You can see your presentation.
Should I begin?
Yes, sir, please.
All right. So
For the questions, I can launch the poll.
okay. Siguro ano na the after na lang.
Okay, sir.
Protocol. So guys, fellow engineers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to share you our experiences into using UAVs, drones, or quadcopters. Kung ano man ang tawag natin, but still, on my view, it's just a camera flying. You know? UAV is just a camera flying. So yeah, I'm Christian Clemeno. I'm here today to share to you the 5 best practices that we do on our company, from our surveying company. So yeah, so let's go. So again, I'm Christian. You can call me Christian. I'm sharing you today will be the best practices for UAV surveying. So we will also tackle everything of how we will tackle about the gears that we use, why do we use it, and also how do we use it on the field. So next, a little bit of background. So my presentation will be coming from these gears that we use for 12 years. First, we are using a DJI Phantom 3 Professional. Next, we are using an RTK and a total station for processing and getting the ground control points coordinates. I'm using an iPad for viewing kung nasan yung location ng ating drones. And for processing of our data or photos, we are using desktop computers. And for our ground control points, we use tarpaulins, just a simple tarpaulin na pinapiprint namin. To be exact, just a 1 meter by 1 meter tarpaulins. No? So how many? As many as you can, as much as you could. Depending on sa project requirements. Now, from our company, why do we use this drone technology? To give you to give you a little bit of history, no? I bought my first DJI Phantom 3 for the purpose na i-please ko ang aking wife. Yeah, I want to please her na sabihin ko sa kanya na napakaganda ng aerial selfie. So dahil doon, pinayagan niya akong bumili. Pero the same, after a month, that's where I discovered na, yeah, we can use this kind of UAVs for mapping and for the surveying side of, so for the surveying industry. Okay, we use the drone technology for boundary disputes. Mainly for boundary disputes. Kasi alam naman natin, photo tells a lot of story. If you have a photo tapos inilagay mo doon yung boundary lines, hindi na magtatanong ang yung client o kung sino man na mag-dispute. It shows na nag-encroach ba talaga or it shows talaga your location of the property. And heavily, we use this for topographic surveys and asset mapping. Lalo na kapag mga matitindi yung safety standards na hindi ka pwede basta-basta pumasok sa isang lugar, we use drones para ma-map out namin yung location ng mga buildings nila, pipelines, transmission lines, and etc. And of course, it saves time. Imagine that. Magto-topographic survey ka for 3 hectares and you're just gonna do it for 5 minutes of flight? It's crazy, no? 3 hectares for just a day. Tapos, kung gagawin mo siguro yun on a gamit ng RTK, it will probably give you 2 days of field work. Next will be the safety of our staff. Our safety of our staff is our topmost priority. So that's why, as much as possible, we want to use it on all our engineering application. Next will be the cost. Mas mura on our side na gumamit ng drones kesa i-deploy yung mga staff namin for numbers of days. Sorry. For numbers of days. So makakatipid din yung aming company kapag 5 minutes of flight for a 3 hectares property. And of course, the last will be, it will stand out from the rest of the competition. So yun ang mga reasons why you use a drone technology. So this is the background, but now we want to share to you the first best practices of using UAV. First is to always prepare a checklist. You really need this, guys, kasi masyado tayong sobrang iniisip. Well, masyadong maraming iniisip minsan. Kaya minsan nakakalimutan magdala ng batteries, etc., hanggang sa SD card. So that's why I'm promoting on our company that we prepare a checklist first before the flight, during the flight, and after the flight. To give you a run-through of this list, for area of operation, first, you must verify first sa site na dapat walang strong interference. Next is to confirm if applicable pa talaga yung aming altitude na dinesign para iliparin ng drone. Third is to confirm location of your personnel. Later, di-discuss ko kung bakit kailangan natin i-confirm ang location ng mga personnel. Next, before the flight, you need to check your firmware, battery, SD card, propeller, and the last but not the least, when your mission is over, you need to return it home. Maaari, hindi na manual ang gawin natin, kundi automatic na siyang babalik. And during the in-flights of our, mayroon kami checklist that it should be the pilot should confirm the performance of the aircraft, the location, battery level, and decide if you should land automatic or on manual settings. And after the flight, of course, if you need to fly again, you need to go back to the pre-flight check. Paulit-ulit lang. Hindi pwede mag-shortcut. And of course, change the battery every flight. Don't press it. Kapag 50% na ang battery mo, huwag mo nang gamitin kung maaari. And of course, place your battery in a cool space. And when you're finished, turn off the aircraft first before the controller. Again, turn off the aircraft first before the controller. So yan ang first tip namin to prepare a checklist. Marami pa tong checklist pero nilagay ko lang yung I think yung pinaka-importante on my view. And tip number 2, do not do it alone. When you conduct aerial mapping for a very, very large areas, you really do need spotters. Yeah. I learned this in a hard way na pag hindi nakakuha ng spotters and kapag nag-crash ang iyong UAV and you are 500 meters away, oh my God, hahanapin mo talaga kung nasaan yun. Tapos tumama sa bundok, no? Pero how many spotters? If you're gonna see this in this photo, this is about 1 kilometer away, no? Magkalayo sila. So 1 kilometer away, hindi mo na yan kita. Tapos cloudy, on the cloudy setting, cloudy weather, tapos ang UAV may color white. Pag tumama yan sa clouds, hindi mo na siya makikita. So it is better to have spotters na naroon sa dulo, sa kabilang dulo, as you can see on my pointer. And yan, sila yung magsasabi sa iyo as the operator na, yes sir, ito nandito na yung drone, pabalik na dyan, papunta na dito, pabalik pa dyan. You need multiple eyes looking at the drone. As it's better to hire many people, many staff looking at that kaysa mag-crash at pag nag-crash ay mawala. Still, survey team is required. Sila putting so many ground control points still takes time, pero still, it will be more faster rather than sinashot mo lahat na every 5 meters yung isang terrain, no? Para makuha mo yung contour ng isang property. So yes, you will not do it alone. Also, if you will be the pilot, you cannot look at the drone and look at your tablet at the same time. It's hard to multitask. Kasi pag napatingin ka sa tablet mo while looking the location of your drone, pag tingin mo sa sky, mawawala ka na. So you also need a spotter besides you na sinasabi yung location, na kino-confirm yung location ng aircraft mo base sa tablet na nakikita mo. Alright. Tip number 3, invest on a desktop computer. You need to invest hard sa computer. So the last thing you want to do is you have your 5 minutes survey aerial mapping, and then it's gonna take you 3 days of processing. I will remember my first time to process. No, I used an Intel Celeron laptop for 500 square meters of land, and yan, tanda ko 25 photos, and yung mga nabibili natin laptop na pang browse lang. I think it take me 4 days of processing. Ganun katagal. Pero yet, nung learning from that, we invest heavily on the requirements set by the software na dapat, as much as possible, top of the line. And yes, it's all worth it. Processing will take just 2 hours for 3 hectares property, 5 hours for 10 hours property. And yeah, the investment is worth it. And also, the last thing you want to show to your clients is naglalag yung computer mo when you're sharing them your 3D when you share the 3D of their property or the photos. So the last thing you want is naglalag, no? So best practice is to invest in a desktop computer. And number 4, when you do flying, you really need to inform the community. You inform the local leaders, the barangay. You inform the security personnel kapag ang point of interest mo ay adjacent ng isang oil and gas company. And of course, if you need to inform the military base. The last thing that we want to do is they're shooting at your drone. Tapos dadamputin ka, no, and bringing you somewhere in the precinct, no. So why? For this example, in this first photo, we had the opportunity to survey this to our client, and adjacent to the road, this road is Lipa Air Base, San Fernando Air Base. So, kailangan talagang i-inform sila. We don't want any crashes or incidents kasi may nagte-take off, mayroong mga instances na nagte-take off and nagla-landing yung kanilang mga aircraft. The last thing we want to know ay sinisisi ka dahil nag-crash yung isang aircraft. And of course, share ko rin sa inyo, yung mga oil and gas company, they have high security. So if there is a risk na magka-crash akala nila magka-crash, pero yung pala ay nagfa-fly lang besides of their assets yung drone mo, if they're not informed, they're gonna shoot it down. Yeah, that's the reality of it. So at least inform them that you're gonna have this project on their adjacent property. At least kumari kasama muna sila tumitingin, no? They will be amazed with those flying, no? At least isama natin sila during the flight. So again, and then now last one is the local community leaders. The last thing, also ayaw natin na na-alarm yung barangay na lumilipad-lipad on their barangay without not permission. Kapag hindi sila informed. Kasi alam niyo naman, I'm just gonna share here sa Batangas, medyo nagkaroon dito ng incident na medyo ang pinanguhuli sa mga sabong dito ay drones. So flying is not popular here, no? So at least you need to inform your barangay captain or the barangay councilor that you have this kind of projects na you need to perform, and para on their side naman, they know what to tell their constituents, no? Kung bakit may lumilipad-lipad na drones sa kanilang airspace. The last tip that we want to share to you is you need to understand the risk of flying your drones. Yes, yes, it is safe, but still there are risks na kailangan natin malaman, and we are sharing you four risks that you need to understand. The first risk is bird attack is a reality. Totoo yan. Yung drones nyo, pag lumilipad-lipad yan sa bundok, tapos merong lawin na makakakita, you need to put it down kasi there's a risk na baka i-attack niya yun, no? Yung drones mo. 2, human attack is also a risk. Sabi ko nga kanina, you need to inform the community. Kasi minsan, tututo na rin yung mga kababayan natin na when you are flying, you're also doing surveying. Ayaw naman natin na sabihin nila, they will accuse us na sinosurvey mo yung property nila. Pero alam naman natin, for a flight, you need to have a space around 20 meters from your project area para ibang isosobra ka, no? From this boundary, kailangan ang flight mo lilipad lampas to sa boundary line. So ayaw natin ma-accuse na we're into land grabbing or surveying their properties without their permission. Third will be UAVs are not weatherproof. Do not fly during the storm or before the storm or pag malakas ang hangin. Do not fly it. Risky, minsan, naranasan na rin namin to, muntik na mag-crash yung aming UAV kasi there's a sudden gush of wind. Hindi kinaya ng drone namin labanan. And also, kapag naulanan yan, may risk na agad na masira yung motors mo and it will crash. So, what we are doing is, china-check na namin yung weather. If the weather is fine, pag medyo stormy, we reschedule. Pag super sunny we are thinking na kung pwedeng i-reschedule. Kasi the best data that we get when it is cloudy. In the morning and it's cloudy. So yeah, pero pag kailangan and it's a very sunny, and then we just adapt na may mga shadows yung aming orthophoto na produce. And last but not the least, as much as possible, when you take off, you automate it. Huwag ka na mag-manual shotting or ibig sabihin yung minamanual mo na pag-take ng photos ng isang area. You can download apps from the App Store or the Google Play Store. na kung paano i-control yung aircraft mo during the flight. So yeah, those are the 5 best practices that we want to share to you. And for the last slide, and I want to thank you for this opportunity to share you our experiences and the best practices that we do in the company. And yeah, if you want to follow us on the social media platforms, just find at CBC Clemeno. And with that, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Engineer Christian. That those tips, we need those, especially when we're doing drone mapping and drone flying, because me, in my experience, naglaro-laro naman ako ng drone before, and I also trained. Yung experience ko when we're flying in Agusan del Sur we're just straight taking few videos of a Falcata plantation. Buti na lang I have a spotter kundi sumabit yung drone namin sa kable ng kuryente sa highway. So really, that's really important to have a spotter, and it's not a one-man team. Okay, for our next speaker, we have Engineer Brian Anos. Sir, can you please try and share your screen? So while Engineer Anos is sharing his screen, so going back to the tips given by Engineer Christian, they're very helpful. Also, we know some people who had an experience of being caught by the military because hindi sila nagpaalam dun sa area. So dinampot sila and they were imprisoned for a few days, and then the next day they returned. It's like nothing happened. But yeah, it's really important that you let your where you're flying, you let the people know there that you're conducting a drone flight. Engineer Anas, are you ready po?
So, my topic outline will be, I will be sharing to you this and my experience as a court witness or a court witness or commissioner, then lots with informal settlers and bank, real estate broker, and appraiser partner, then progress monitoring on infrastructure projects, aid in tax mapping, insurance claims, sand and gravel, and DAR surveys with LBP valuation. I cannot agree more for the first speaker, Engineer Christian, that all what he has said are the best practices of having a survey with drone. So itong i-present ko ay ganon din. Kung anong observation niya, yun din, 100% akong agree sa lahat ng dapat malaman before flying a drone. So, first, yung ginagamit ko yung drone as a court witness or commissioner because itong drone image natin can be overlaid into verification surveys made by the verification surveys that is being if you will be the one to be nominated as a court commissioner or a witness in a case or in a boundary dispute, so pwedeng gamitin ang drone overlay for that verification survey. Kung ginagamit natin yung verification survey na lines and polygons, parang kung titingnan natin, kung lines and polygons lang, hindi natin makikita yung actual niya na meron pa palang ibang information that is needed by the courts for that. An example of this verification survey ay itong nasa screen ngayon. So kung titingnan natin yung screen, kung lines and polygons lang, wala tayong makikitang building na nag-o-overlap doon sa lote. Tingnan. For this example, ito kasi ang pinipresent sa verification survey without the drone overlay. Pero wala kang information, for example, this building na lagpas na pala siya doon sa property line. Pati rin itong building na to, ang structure na ito, hindi mo rin maipapakita na lagpas na pala siya doon sa property line. So, according to Engineer Christian, the picture will maraming information ang ibinibigay ng picture na ino-overlay natin sa survey natin. So, isa itong application for us, lalo na mostly kung mag-a-appear kayo ng mga court hearings. And all of this na pre-present ko ay already accepted and as evidence doon sa case. So, isa ito na pwede nating magawan ng parang an opportunity for us, geodetic engineers, para magamit ang technology na ito at incorporate natin doon sa ating work to make our work better. Another sample for this one, gaya ng sabi ko kanina, kung ito lang ang i-present natin, lines lang at saka polygons, hindi natin makikita na may mga building pala na nandun na lumalagpas na doon sa lines at saka sa mga polygons na ating present doon sa court. So, for that matter, mas maraming information, we will have a more better presentation that will be appreciated by the parties and the judge para makita kung ano talaga, paano niya i-decide yung case. Especially sa mga boundary dispute at saka yung mga elements na nandun sa loob ng lote. So, after sa court commissioner, connected din ito, doon naman sa identification naman sa mga pag-identify po natin ng mga informal settlers. So usually kung nag-identify tayo ng mga informal settlers, mahirap po ang survey ng ganito. Alam yun ng mga geodetic engineers dito sa mga participants natin. Merong mga pangyayari na you cannot survey a lot which has informal settlers in it. Kasi yung informal settlers, alam nila na hindi sa kanila yung lupa. So yung gagawin nila, meron silang resistance for that matter. Ito, ginagamit ko ito to identify. Because sa mga court cases din, kailangan talagang i-identify mo kung sino yung mga nasa loob ng property na in question. So kung yung nangyayari dyan, yung ginagawa mo pag hindi ka nakapag-survey, nag-ano ka na lang, random na lang ang ginagawa mo. Nagpapa-identify ka na lang na itong mga lupa na ito, itong mga bahay na nakatayo dito sa lupa na to ay nasa loob ng lote. But in fact, labas na sila. So kung gumagamit ka ng ganitong system na, for example, ito, ma-identify mo na yung mga bahay nasa loob ng lote or nasa labas. So pwede na yon yung magiging notice o kaya yung summon ng court para doon sa mga lote na may mga informal settlers. Hindi lang po sa cases ito nangyayari kung merong mga dispute or mga boundary dispute or identification of informal settlers. Kung meron ka ding itinatayong mga bagong roads or clearing operations, you can use also to identify what are the exact houses that will be covered in the project. Hindi lahat bibigyan ng notice. At saka pinpoint accuracy na ma-identify mo yung mga bahay na involved doon sa project. Kasi sa client, on the part naman sa client, nahihirapan din sila kasi pag nagpatawag na yan sa barangay, nag-claim yan ng compensation. So, kung hindi accurate yung pinpoint mo ng mga informal settlers na bibigyan ng compensation, lumalaki yung amount for the compensation. That is why it is very important for us to identify the exact at saka yung pinpoint accuracy ng mga bahay ng mga informal settlers that will be affected on the project or doon sa lote na kanilang ah, doon sila nagtayo ng bahay na hindi sa kanila ang lote. Another naman sa presentation is kung mag-aano tayo ng mga real estate broker, bangko, at saka yung appraiser. Bibigyan ka lang ng titulo, then you will be the one to identify which lot and what are the features in it. So kung marami siyang bahay sa loob, kasi yung bangko kasi mostly yung hinahawakan niya mga ano yan mga foreclosed property. Mostly hindi alam ng bank kung saan yan. Merong mga bangko kasi na nasa lista lang sa kanila at saka nasa kanila yung title. So, nag-hire na lang sila for a relocation survey. Hindi mo rin naman maipakita kung anong nasa loob. So, dito, ang ginagawa natin, plinaplat natin ito at saka nagpapalipad tayo ng drone para makita kung ano ang nasa loob at saka ano ang value ng lote na ito. So, in my example, meron akong binigay sa akin na titulo, nakita kung nasaan, noong 2019. Tapos sa 2020 ulit, pinakita naman ulit. So, ito, meron ng mga changes doon sa features ng land. Pero na-identify mo, ang kagandahan ng mga drone overlay ka, na-identify mo kung anong nasa loob nang hindi ka na talaga magsusurvey isa-isa. For example, kung ang gusto lang ni client ay nalaman niya na may nagtayo pala doon ng tower ng telco. Tapos ang location niya ngayon nasa Manila. So dito sa province hindi siya makapunta dahil walang transportation. Pero meron siyang titulo. At saka may nakapagsabi sa kanya na gano'n na nga may nagtayo ng telco. So para yung title niya ipadala lang sa iyo, then you do the drone mapping, gamitin mo rin yung survey pero i-overlay mo yung drone, makikita mo na meron palang ito, hindi pala nasa loob ng lote. For this example, ito nasa labas yung cell tower sa lote. So dito mo maipapakita sa client mo without him or her coming to the province just to confirm the said information that was given. So isa rin ito sa mga uses ng drone technology natin. Then after that, pwede rin natin tong gamitin sa progress monitoring. In this example of mine, may nagpa-survey sa akin. So ginagawa pa lang yung nag-clearing pa lang sila, nag-relocation survey na ako dito sa project na ito. Yun pala may itatayong mall. So after 3 months, ganito na yung itsura niya. So meron na siyang construction doon sa nirelocate kong lote. So ito, magagamit din ito to monitor yung mga projects, hindi lang sa private, pati rin sa government. For example, magtatayo ka ng dam, magko-construct ka ng road. So, pwede mong gawin yung progress monitoring sa day 1 o kaya day 30, day 45, day 60 At saka ito rin ang magagamit mo doon sa claim mo sa agency na nagpagawa. So at least yung image mo overlaid with your survey, makikita mo yung progress kung ano na ang nasa ground na ano natin na project. Then we move to the aid in tax mapping. Kung meron kang drone image na naka-overlay doon sa cadastral maps, makikita mo yung mga nandun sa loob ng lote. Kung may mga bahay na, may mga building na. So in that scenario, pwede mong i-update yung ano mo, yung mga tax declaration mo na meron na palang improvement doon sa loob. At saka mababawasan yung inspection ng ginagawa ng taga doon sa assessor's office. So makikita mo na yung mga building, pwede mo rin ma-measure yung area ng building at saka magawan mo ng valuation for that matter. So ito po yung mga sample natin na tax mapping. Actually, isa ito sa parang bagong magiging scope of work na pwedeng gawin ng mga assessor na gumawa ng ganito para for them updated yung nila, yung valuation ng lupa, assessment nila. So pwede natin itong gawin, magpabid sila per barangay or new opportunity to para sa mga those geodetic engineers na nagpa-practice at saka mayroon tayong bagong trabaho, hindi lang yung sa isolated survey, pati rin sa tax mapping. Then, ito naman, itong services na ito ay surprise din sa akin kasi ito ay tungkol sa insurance claims. So, itong insurance claims naman, meron akong isang client na hinihingan daw siya ng evidence na yung roof niya kasi naka-insured yung roof niya. After the typhoon, may mga damage ito. So, yung insurance company, ni-require siya na magbigay ng photographs for the damages. Yung nahihirapan sila na kunin ito kasi nasa taas. So, yung ginawa, pumunta sa akin for the services. So, pinapakita lang basically kung ano yung mga na-damage doon sa na ito, sa structure na ito. So pwede mong ipakita like this one. Papakita mo yung mga damage. Then ginagamit din nila ito kasi doon sa yung nag-supply ng roofing na to, hindi niya na ma-recall kung ano yung design na i-deliver niya. So, ito rin, itong drone with yung drone overlay natin doon sa survey, pwede rin natin magamit for that purpose. Insurance claim at saka ma-deliver ang the same design of the roof that will be delivered. So, na-surprise din ako na mayroon palang ganitong services na magagamit kahit dito lang sa land survey. Then, pwede rin natin itong magamit sa sand and gravel application for concessionaire. So kung dati-rati actual mong sinosurvey yung mga application for extraction of sand and gravel, at least dito maipapakita mo kung saan na talaga yung flow ng riverbed, yung mga river na nagbago na ng course. So pwede rin gawin ito gamit yung RTK natin, tapos i-overlay lang natin palagi yung drone para doon naman sa nagpro-project sa province or sa MGB, makikita nila kung saan talaga dumadaan yung tubig. Hindi lang doon sa survey lang, kasi minsan meron din sa atin nagpa-practice na doon na lang natin kinukuha sa cadastral survey kung saan hindi na yun yung actual na daanan ng water na ng river or ng creek. So in this system or in this way, may papakita mo doon sa nagpapagawa na ganito na yung course ng river. May overlay mo rin yung cadastral survey para maikumpara nila kung yun na talaga ang nasa ground. Another, may papakita mo rin na kung ano yung for example, mayroong questionable na naggumawa ng mapa na naaprubahan ng province na mga concession. So may papakita mo na hindi na yun ang exact na yung naaprubahan itong pula, hindi na ito yung talagang nandun sa ground. So yun ang mga uses. Then lastly, para sa doon naman sa mga nangungontrata sa DAR, may tinatawag kasi sa DAR na dalawang mode of survey, yung tinatawag na subdivision of mother CLOA at saka yung new lands surveys. Ibig sabihin yung merong mga valuation na ginagawa ng land bank. So dito sa sample, pwede mong ipakita yung agricultural lot tapos kung ano yung land use niya, kasi ito yung ginagawa ng land bank na para ma-value yung land. Yun kasing valuation, yun naman ang binibigay sa landowner na pinaka-compensation para sa land. Ito, nangyayari ito, nag-uulit-ulit yung survey dito. Kasi minsan, hindi pa natatapos yung valuation, umaabot na naman ng 1 year. After 1 year, magre-revaluation na naman yung Land Bank of the Philippines. Kaya yung mga lupa na nakakover ng DAR, paulit-ulit itong sinusurvey. Kasi wala tayong database ng land use. Every time na nagpapabid yung DAR, minsan yung mga land holdings ay inuulit na nung nakaraang taon. Ang iba pa nga, umaabot pa nga ng 5 hanggang 10 taon na nauulit yung valuation ng property. So, itong lahat na ito na sineshare ko sa inyo, ito ay actual na ginawa ko using the drone and land survey, hand in hand na ginagawa. So, yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Engineer Brian.
Thank
Now,
you.
guys, if you have questions, kindly key them in and put them in the Q&A feature of this Zoom chat. I have a question then myself, so while we're waiting for others to put in their question, also you guys can upvote a specific question in the Q&A feature. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Sir Brian, you can stop sharing your screen now. Okay, Sir Christian Clemeno, I have okay, let's officially begin the Q&A part. Sir Christian, I have a question for you. You've mentioned that you're using DJI Phantom in your work. We all know that the DJI Phantom is a Chinese brand, and we've been reading some news, hearing stories that the brand might have security concerns. What's your say or opinion on that matter, sir?
Oh yeah, if you're scared that your photos will be hacked by a hacker, turn off your data. If you're using your phone para gamitin as a viewer ng flights mo, turn off yung data natin, yung para hindi siya mag-subscribe sa internet. And then if you're gonna transfer your photos or your data to your computer, wag mo nang i-Bluetooth. or Wi-Fi. You just disconnect it, kunin mo yung SD card, and directly ipasok mo sa computer, and that's it. That's the most secured way that I could think of.
Okay. Sir, do you also consider getting other brands of drones apart from DJI? Or do you own one apart from DJI Phantom?
As of now, nagkaroon na ako ng iba pang drones na mas malaki. But yeah, the reality is, pag malaki ng drone, pagbigat ng gears mo. Imagine if you're gonna transport it in another place, ang bigat-bigat, kakaroon ka ng matinding sakit sa likod. So yeah, so for now, the most for me, the most preferred is the Phantom 4 Pro also, and the Phantom 3. It is handy. The camera is good. And yeah, that's for now, that's what we need para mag-conduct ng mga projects namin.
Okay, sir. Sir, there's a follow-up question for you here. From Lord Byron Abris. He's asking, what is the largest area coverage for a quadcopter in your experience, sir?
All right. The more the battery that you have, the larger area that you can do conduct a survey. So from my experience, I have 6 batteries para sa Phantom 3 Pro. Yeah, it took us 1 hour para makapag-conduct ng 25 hectares na orthophoto on a very windy day, no? Oh, kasi paglakas ng hangin, paglakas ng consume ng battery. So yeah, so there's no limit. Siguro if you're gonna ask me what's the limit of a one battery, no? So I think it's gonna take you about 5 hectares. Pero for single battery, pero yet yung 5 hectares na yun, malayo na yun. Kakatakot na yun.
Mataas
So,
yung...
mataas na yung altitude mo, lalayo na sobra yung drone mo. Kaya as much as possible, isa rin sa magandang practice natin is to kumare meron kang meron kang line of sight lagi sa aircraft mo. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. I want also to ask Engineer Brian, sir, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of drone do you use in your surveys? Sir, naka-mute po kayo. Can you please unmute?
Nung una, yung ginamit kong drone ay Phantom 4 Pro. Yun ang ginamit ko, as what Engineer Christian has mentioned. Pero there was an incident last year, summer yun, na yung Phantom 4 Pro ko, kasi hindi ko pa kasi nakita si Engineer Christian na nagbigay ng tips eh. Nag-crash siya sa isang bundok. Hindi ko na-check yung height ng bundok doon sa flight plan ko. So, nag-crash siya. Pinahanap ko sa mga tao ko for 4 days. So, isang tip din sa mga sa mga drone flyers or sa mga na gumagamit nito na mag-invest tayo ng kaunti doon sa parang may device doon na inilalagay na GPS na tracking ba. Kasi parang sa tingin ko yung mga seller ng mga lalo na yung DJI, hindi nila nilalagyan ng ng tracking tracking doon sa mga drone. Sa tingin ko parang sinasadya nila yon para bumili ka uli. So yun ang nangyari nung bumili na ako ngayon ng Mavic Pro. So yun ang ginagamit. Ngayon meron namang lumalabas na mga bago na pang-survey talaga, yung mga drone na with RTKs na. So may lumabas ngayon na Phantom 4 RTK. So yun, mas maganda yun na mag-invest tayo kung yun ang kung continuous yung natin sa surveying. Yun lang po, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Sir Christian and Engineer Brian. My question dito, since we've touched on the topic on investments, there's a question here by Michelle Napay. How much are your investments to have everything working? Sir, just a range, and kung saan napunta yung mga how much dito sa gamit na to, how much dito sa gamit na ito.
So, ako muna,
Sige,
Brian.
Sige,
sige
ikaw.
sir, Christian.
For the drone, 2012, around 80,000. For the for the CPU, 75,000. For the pinakamura lang, tarpaulin. Oo. I think 10 pesos lang per tarpaulin yun eh. Yes, and then you have your total station, of course, your RTK, and isa sa mga the best investment will be the training to your staff. Yan ang pinaka-best investment para sa akin. Train them well, give them the opportunity to know the technology, and yes, mas mataas ang ROI nun. From all the rest.
Okay. Sir, about the desktop or the laptop that you use or the software, of course, you've
For
also invested in that.
for processing, we do not use laptops. It's medyo,
Mm-hmm.
whatever happens, ang bagal talaga for my taste. And if you ask the software that we are using for the processing, we are using Agisoft. Yeah. Yes, marami diyang mga software, but from the beginning, I've been involved with the use of Agisoft. So I'm not promoting it. But still, that's the software that I use for orthophotos and yeah, from point clouds and everything.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Engineer Brian,
On my
how
part,
about you po?
ako po yung nagre-represent dito sa mga GE na mahilig sa libre. Libre yung ano mo, yung software mo, libre. Parang yung sa atin naman ay yung aid lang ito sa surveying natin na trabaho. Hindi talaga ito yung focus na trabaho. So, yung drone ko, Mavic 2 Pro na meron na siyang mga accessory. Separate 'yon, parang 20,000 yung accessory. Pero meron siyang nabili ko sa isang camera house na na 92,000. Meron na siyang drone at saka yung accessory. Yung accessory, extra 2 batteries at saka extra yung niya, yung rotor niya, extra. At saka meron pa siyang mga cord na nandun. So, sa naman, syempre, kung geodetic engineer, meron kang total station at saka RTK. Then, doon naman sa, natin, sa computer, yung dapat bilhin or dapat gamitin natin, yung pang-gaming, yung mga pang-gaming, matataas yung niya sa video. Yun ang natin. So, kung at least ngayon, may na-create tayong trabaho, for example, this tax mapping, nagpapaano sila ng tax mapping. Umaabot din yung mga kontrata ng mga 500,000 or at least yung investment mo naka-covered na doon sa ininvest mo. So kung patuloy mababawi ka rin at saka syempre meron ka ring profit for that. Yun lang po.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Brian. Oh, on a related note, may question po dito ulit. Sir, paano daw po yung costing sa mga survey using drones? Si Sir Christian, mukhang
Costing, all right. So, malalaman
smiling.
natin.
Sir Christian, kasi 'di ba meron sa survey tariff rate ng Geodetic Engineering of the Philippines ng parang 100,000 per flight. So, ano yung actual na costing na ginagamit niyo po?
So, right. Explain ko muna what we are doing in our office, no? If a client will request a topographic survey, I still use drones for it. Sinusunod ko pa rin yung nasa tariff natin, but yet ang tools na ginagamit ko for topographic survey is drone already. Why? It's faster. 1 day sa field. So just imagine yung profit mo nun, no? Natapos mo yung project just in a day. But yet, of course, hindi mo ibibigay yung images sa yung client. If they want the images, they need to purchase it from you. And yet, kapag may instances naman, gusto ng client na to have an updated view of their property. So minsan nagre-range tayo ng mga 5,000 per
Hectare.
hectare. Oo.
Hectare.
Not per flight na. So yun. That's how we do it. Oh.
How about you, Sir Brian?
Ganon din yung system. Doon din sa tariff. Parang yung ano kasi yung image, parang ano lang ito eh. Add up lang doon sa services ng survey. Yun lang ang ganon din na mga range. Hindi magkakalayo doon sa binigay ni Engineer Christian na na services natin.
So, yeah, i-add ko din, no, when you do these kinds of technology, the return is very high. So, ibig sabihin, for example, if you have a project that worth 20,000 pesos, and then your operation expense, 3,000, so imagine that. You have how many percent is that? Kapag if you gonna compute it amount, sorry, wala akong calculator, pero just use it as an example.
In addition, ma'am, doon naman sa drone kung gagamit ka nito tas dalawa kayong geodetic engineer, pareho ang scope of work nyo. Doon kayo magkakaiba naman sa presentation na. Kasi titingnan ng client ito, yung trabaho niya, titingnan naman yung trabaho mo. So kung meron kang drone image overlay, parang make up yun sa isang mukha na walang make up. Yung mukha lang, ikaw meron kang make up na ilang.
So mas ano siya, 'di ba? Parang mas maipipresent siya in a layman's term. Mas maiintindihan ng clients, 'di ba? So
yeah.
meron lang phone-in question dito. Sir Brian, you mentioned daw a while ago that yung tax mapping can reach up to 500,000. Mga ilang hectares daw 'yan?
Yung ginawa ko kasi parang yung quotation ko na ibinigay kasi nung una nag-iisip ako na per flight, parang ganun kay Engineer Christian na hindi bababa ng 5,000 per flight mo.
Per hectare? Per hectare or per flight?
Per flight muna. Then after that, kasi ilang minutes lang naman ang per flight, hindi naman aabot yan ng 30 minutes at most. So ngayon, kung per hectare na, gagamit ka na ng mas matagal na So yung ginawa kong factor, inano ko na lang ng per hectare na mga 5,000 to 2,500. So kung anong coverage yan, for example, gusto nila ng, on my case, 2,500 per hectare, 180 hectares na nila. So yun, gagawa lang ako ng kakulangan nila. Wala kasi sila sa portion na yon, sa tax mapping nila, blanco ang portion na yun. Meron naman akong cadastral overlay. So yun na lang. Ipapakita ko na lang, then yun, nagbid ako ng services na yun.
Okay po.
180 hectares, 2,500 per hectare, mga roughly 450 to 500, ganun.
Okay. Thank you, sir. In relation to that, may question po dito, but just for everyone's information, is there or will there soon be in our tariff provisions reflective of the many novel and innovative services like those mentioned and others to come? I think, if Ms. Rhea, if I understood this correctly, tinatanong niya kung meron na daw taripa for these services.
Yeah. Actually, meron nga Meron yung sinasabi na 100,000 per flight. Pero it seems to be parang over the edge, engineers. So, I think this will be one of the pwedeng topic of discussion of the GEP chapters or the national chapter. Since they are also, I think, updating the survey tariffs. I'm not sure kung kano ang, every 5 years, every 3 years. Pero I think there should be a move now to update the survey tariff rates.
Okay, Rhea, magaan lang ako. Alam ko
Yeah.
meron na rin sa yung sa per hectare sa UAV. Parang I think it's around 3,000 to 3,500. Nasa ano yun, nasa GEP
GEP.
tariff.
Okay.
NCR.
Yeah, pero yung NCR, sabi nila, is also good for all the regions na eh. So parang isa na lang, di ba? Ang titingnan ng mga GEs nationwide. So, yun, we seek for clarification also from the GEP, pero I know that it will be updated.
Okay, thank you. So for the next question, this is more on the technicalities na of conducting drone surveys or drone mapping. The first one is in a short answer, Sir Brian and Sir Christian. What do you think is the advantage of image taken from drone with images from Google Map or those from free satellite images? Ano yung kagandahan po kapag drone images yung ginamit compared to Google Maps or images used by the satellites?
All right. Ako muna, Kuya Brian. Okay, for that question, paano ko ba sabihin to? Okay, images from Google Earth are old, they are pale, and if you're a hobbyist like me, a photographer, it's not, paano ko ba sabihin? It's just like taking a photo of someone na hindi appealing yung mga features nila. But if you're gonna compare to the drone images on orthophoto, it's complete and kabaliktaran. This current, the colors are the best,
Crisp.
crisp, sharp, and when you zoom it, yan, biro ka nga sa mga tao, talagang pag zoom mo, makikita mo yung pusa, no? Na shot mo yung small animal. So ganun ka high resolution yung mga drone images, unlike images that you take from Google Earth. Yeah, Brian.
Okay. Sir Brian, how about you po?
Sa mga Google Earth images kasi, kuwan pa yan eh. Parang history yan eh. 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Ito naman parang almost kanina lang, kahapon lang, or almost live. Sa layman's term, masasabi ko, parang ano yan eh, parang, iba nag-selfie tayo. Kung filtered, yun ang Google. Pero kung nakikita mo
Yung raw, yung actual.
sa drone.
Oh, okay, sir. That's a good analogy. Next question po in relation to that again. For our panelists, what photo acquisition app do you use? Kayo muna, Sir Brian. Ano pong gamit yung app sa pag-take ng drone images?
Sa akin naman, yung ginagamit ko na yung images kasi nasa drone yun eh. Pero yung sa processing ba, yung stitching, yung ginagamit ko, nag-try na po ako ng Pix4D. Pero yung ginagamit ko mostly, drone deploy. Meron siyang flight plan, meron siyang uploading, meron siyang stitching, tapos meron siyang function na ganun. Pati sa 3D meron.
Okay. About you, Sir Christian?
Oh, for my tablet, I'm using the DJI Ground Station Pro or yung DJI GS Pro.
GS Pro.
Why do I use that? Because I've been using this since the beginning, and I don't allow. I give me hard time to study on the third-party softwares, no? And yun lang yun. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Sir Vols and Miss Rhea? Do you want to add anything to the answers?
Yeah, ako yung flight planning ko nagsimula ako sa drone deploy. Pero na-convince ako na-influence ako ni Sir Christian. So na rin ako DJI, na rin ako GS Pro ginagamit ko.
Okay. Thank you. Ito po, next question from anonymous attendee. Yung tanong is, we are using Inspire 2 po for topographic survey. Accurate po ba siya for getting the elevation of the ground po?
You know. All right.
Sir Christian, kayo po.
So, how accurate you want it to be? That's the question. If you want it to be very accurate, you need to put a lot of ground control points. A lot. Kapag on the millimeter level. But the question is, yun bang hinihingi ng project mo? that accurate? Ganun ba ka-accurate ang hinihingi? So yeah. So from my experience, minsan, kapag nagkaroon ako ng error ng 10 centimeters on the ground, sa elevation, tapos sa isang bare earth, okay na yun. Oo. Ano na yun, ibibigay na yun ng client kasi hindi naman point cloud ang ibibigay mo sa client kundi yung contour lines, no? So yeah, for me, viewing, kapag gumagamit ka ng Inspire 2, Phantom 4 Pro, I think halos parehas naman yung, at least unless nagpalit ka ng camera. Oh, so kung question mo yung mas accurate din ba yung yung Inspire, well, kapag nagpalit ka ng camera, which is mas malaki yung kanyang sensor, it will be mas maraming data na makukuha from the larger sensor. Yeah, your project will be more and more going to reality. Reality going to be accurate.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Sir Brian? What do you think po?
Ah,
Okay.
sa ano naman, sa mga height na ginagawa ng ganon, I cannot expect, hindi ko maaano yan na tanong kasi yung most kami to pang 2D. Kaya marami kasing trabaho dito sa 2D pa lang eh. So, itong topographic using drone, pwede mo lang siyang mag-view doon sa reports niya. Makikita mo. At saka mayroon siyang color coding doon sa mga height niya. Nagva-vary yung color. So, accurate naman siya. Not to the point na cloud. Sabi pa nga ni Engineer Christian na cloud point based. Kasi LiDAR na talagang gagamitin mo doon pag gano'n naka-accurate yung gusto mong kunin na result. Pero sa mga analysis, mga contours, area, volume, ganun, pwedeng gamitin naman ito na tools natin. Hindi naman mostly point cloud talaga ang hinihingi ng end user natin. Depende rin sa end user kung ano kailangan nila.
Okay po. I think there's another question here in relation to accuracy. For both speakers daw po, is accuracy still an issue for use of UAVs for surveying services, or what ways have you done to mitigate these inaccuracies in your experience po? Sir Christian, do you have
All right. Question is accuracy. Tama ba?
Opo, kung is accuracy still an issue for use of UAVs for your surveying services?
For me, the issue will always be time. The accuracy, kasi yung accuracy, if you get an accuracy of 2 centimeters or 5 centimeters para sa isang topographic survey, for me, it's fine already kasi it's a bare earth. No? Earth talaga yan. Pero ang issue lagi sa akin is how fast can we do this work? Ayoko sabihin na pwede na eh. Yung salitang you save time, but yet you gave the results to your client that they will accept it. On the errors on the range of errors na ina-accept nila. So for me, accuracy, yeah, we still want to get the how accurate ng output natin. Pero yet, kailangan mong i-weigh yun sa time na ibinigay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir Brian,
Sa
sa
accuracy
inyo po.
naman, regarding this one, wag lang natin kalilimutan yung basic ng how to conduct a survey. Wag tayong lalabas doon. Kasi itong drone image, overlay lang ito sa survey. So, if any, kung meron kang gagawin na survey, doon talaga sa RTK or total station tayo para makuha natin ang ating accuracy na kailangan. Kasi kung puro tayo drone, merong tendency yan na may mga may mga error. Lalo na kung hindi tayo naglalagay ng GCPs. So kailangan talaga RTK palagi. Yung basic ng survey. Hindi natin, kasi ito parang make-up lang ito eh. Ito, ilalagay lang ito sa mukha na make-up eh. Yung drone. Masisave mo ang time, masisave mo. hindi naman lahat ng pangangailangan up to the centimeter na survey. If you are talking of valuation, appraisal,
True.
hindi tayo nag-aano dun eh. Walang tinatawag na centimeters yun eh. Pero at least, madali mong magagawa ang trabaho for that using the image.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to entertain last two questions. The first one is, how will the opposition by an adjoining lot owner be addressed if the owner says that his or her right to privacy is or will be violated when a drone is flown over their property? Sir, in your experience, did you have encounters with people na they don't want their property to be flown over by a drone, and how do you handle those instances po? Sir Christian.
Alright. First, wala pa akong experience ng ganyan na nagre-reklamo yung isang adjoining owner dahil lumilipad yung drones natin above their property. But it doesn't mean na hindi ko alam yung risk na yan. So para hindi ako umabot sa ganyan, I'm always informing everyone na magkakaroon dito ng drones na lilipad. And guys, if you inform them before you conduct the survey, excited din sila makakita ng drones na lumilipad above their properties. So I think it's mind conditioning to the adjoining owners para hindi na tayo umabot na magkaroon pa ng mga disputes with the owner, adjacent owners.
Okay. Thank you, sir. How about you, Sir Anos? Did you have experience po?
And babalik basic. Pag ganyan na nagkakandak tayo ng any work, survey work, or siyempre babalik tayo sa basic for notification sa mga adjoining owners. Pero yung issue na yan kasi, hindi lang ito yan international, pati doon sa mga drone user community sa abroad, ganun pa rin, issue pa rin niya hanggang ngayon. So it would be better, kasi hypothetical naman yung question, it would be better kung meron talagang actual na nag-file ng case sa mga, para maging maging parang natin, ito yung magiging basis natin sa mga policy natin regarding privacy. Mas maganda kung meron talagang actual na mag-file, madesisyonan talaga ng courts kung ano ang gagawin for that matter. Pero itong issue na to, hindi natin ito dito lang. Kahit sa ibang bansa, issue pa rin ito.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. For our last question, for both, my question is, the question is, about investing on staff, how many RPAS controllers do you have per registered UAV, or how many can be registered as per CAAP? So I think the main question here, sir, is sa staff niyo po, ilan yung drones ang registered sa CAAP at ilan din yung mga certified RPAS controller?
All right. Compare natin yan sa jeep. Pampasaherong jeep. So, you need a driver para sa jeep. Kailangan mo i-rehistro yung jeep mo. And kailangan mo rin kumuha ng franchise. Para sa ino-operate mo na jeep. So, yung office natin is being given the franchise by the CAAP. And then, yung drones natin, tawag doon, nire-register. And then, kung ilan ang drivers mo, it is unlimited. Ibig sabihin, if you're gonna ask us kung how many licensed controller yung nasa office namin, I have 2 plus 1. So yung plus 1 ako, para umalis man sila may maiiwan pa rin. And yeah, as much as possible, kung maaari, lahat turuan mo sila para lahat may opportunity mag-operate ng UAVs mo. And kapag invest in your people para pag an opportunity comes, and then you will be ready.
Okay. Thank you, sir. How about you, Engineer Anos?
Sa surveying office ko, hindi naman kalakihan. Yung registered, isa pa lang. So, at saka nahirapan din tayo for the registration process dito sa mga provinces. Kasi walang offering kahit sa CAAP, nagtanong pa tayo sa region. Nasa ano lang talaga. Wala ngayong travel. So, nakikinig ako sa mga season 1, yung mga ano doon. So, gano'n na lang. Kung paunti-unti nang magiging normal lang ang ano, we will register as much as possible. Kung ilang teams, at least one registered. Kung ilang survey teams, at least one.
Okay.
Angela,
Yes.
may papasagot lang ako kay Bolts. There was a
sige po.
question. Yeah, there was a question a while ago with regards to comparing the results of an ordinary drone versus PPK RTK. We had this actually on our first episode, season, episode 3, presented by Engineer Severino Domingo, because this has been part of a study. So Volts, ano daw ang difference? Or is there any difference?
Well, kung hindi ka gagamit ng ground control points, syempre mas accurate yung may RTK kahit paano. Meron siya. So, compare kung wala kang kasi, kung yung ordinary drones lang, sure yan, error yan. So absolute yung absolute coordinates, more than 1 meter. So kung RTK yan, kung maganda yung kakalagay, yung kaka-setup mo, pwedeng mga centimeters na lang yan. Siguro 10, ganyan. Pero syempre, kung nag-GCPs ka, yung placement ng GCPs yung ng accuracy mo niyan eh. So kahit naka-RTK ka na, yung Phantom 4 RTK, kailangan pa kasi mag-ground control points dyan. Yun lang, mababawasan. Hindi kasing rami ng ordinary drones. Ganun siya.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now that ends our Q&A portion. Now I'm going to wrap up this webinar. I would just like to remind everyone to kindly please answer the feedback form found in the chat box. There's a link there. Once you've submitted that, we will prepare your certificates and we will email them to you. So it's really important that you guys answer this feedback form, because we're gonna get the names from here. Also, for our next webinar, we're planning to hold one on August 6th and also in the next Thursdays of the month until first week of September. Just watch out for more announcements in our Facebook page. Also, if you have more questions, drop a message in our FB page, Technology for Property Rights. Also, if you think you missed something or want to get back to some parts of the webinar, we will be uploading this video in our FB page in our YouTube channel. And finally, we would like to thank everyone, especially our panelists, our guest speakers, Sir Christian Clemeno and Sir Brian Anus, for joining us today. And also, we'd like to thank the Asia Foundation for supporting this webinar. And finally, we want to thank all of you attendees for giving your time and in joining us this webinar. We hope to see you again and have a great day ahead.
Yes.
Bye! Thank you po!